There are two words from the Christian tradition that come to mind for me when I think of April Ryan, and certainly having met her this evening, these really work well as I understand her. The first one is witness. You know, a lot of people think that people of faith, when they witness, are doing a lot of talking. That's not what it means to be a witness. When you witness something, you're watching and you're listening. You're listening hard, and you're making sure that you're in the right place at the right time to see and hear what's going down, right? Very important for people of faith to do this. April Ryan is a great role model of staying in the tough place and witnessing what's going on, listening hard, watching what's going on. And then that moves to the second word that comes from the Christian tradition. We're told that Jesus said, "Live by the truth, and the truth shall set you free." April Ryan is a truth teller. She tells it like it is. And just because you tell the truth doesn't mean to say that you're very popular. At times, people won't like it when you tell the truth. So, yeah, we like it, right? So, April, would you please come on forward and be a witness and a truth teller?
Wow, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm a witness and a truth teller. Whew. Yes. It is so wonderful to be here on the West Coast. Yes. I'm still 3 hours ahead of you in my mind and in my body, but we're gonna have a good time tonight. Sacramento, I've never been here. I love it. Never been. Never, ever, never. But I'm so happy to be here. I've been to other parts of California, but it feels so good to be here in Sacramento. I bring you greetings from the American Urban Radio Networks, where I've served for the last 21 years, not just 2 years ago, 21 years. As I know, people think I just arrived. Been there, done that, got a t-shirt and washed it and wore it again. I've served for the last 21 years as the White House correspondent for the American Urban Radio Networks. And I also bring you greetings from that wonderful news network that's not fake at all. It's called CNN. Once again, it's an honor to be before you. And I want to single out someone before we get started. I'm in a room full of friends. I feel the love. I feel the love here at St. Mark, and I thank you for allowing me to be part of the Moon series. We're going to have a good conversation tonight, and when I finish, I want you guys to ask questions. Prepare your minds right now, because this is going to be interactive. I want you to ask questions, because if you don't know, you won't know, you know? So before I get started, I want to shout out a homegirl, Baltimore homegirl, who is now here in Sacramento. I met her many years ago. We were traipsing across Switzerland. Yes, we were, as young leaders. And we're now old. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're wise. I want to call out Cassandra Pye, who worked for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stand up, Cassandra. Stand up. Stand up. She's working in the vineyard. And, you know, I was talking to Donna Brazil, I think yesterday or the day before, and you all know who Donna is. And Donna said, you know, we got some sisters over there. You know Cassandra? I said, yeah, I know Cassandra. I haven't seen her in a while. Thank you for coming out, Cassandra. Thank you so much. Well, Pastor Jones, you said I was a witness. And I guess I am a witness to history. 21 years. 4 American presidents. I know. 3 who I know what they call me. They call me by name. This one, I don't know what he's calling me, but it's okay. It's all right. For a kid from Baltimore. There but for the grace of God go I. There but for the grace of God go I. I'm that kid, and Cassandra, I'm sure you can feel me on this. In the Black community in Baltimore, you touch almost every community. Your parents want you to do better than what they did. Every socioeconomic area I touched. My hairdresser is located not far from where Freddie Gray was taken into custody. When you saw the standoffs in Baltimore at the Freddie Gray uprising, Penn and North, my mother used to take me there to go to the dentist as a child. There but for the grace of God go I. I am that kid who never imagined, never dreamed that I'd be not far, 150 feet from the seat of power. Little black girl from Baltimore. Never was socially active, never was much into no justice, no peace. But I was that kid who grew up in a home where, and I know many of you have this today, where your political figures who you admire and who you love, or those who just reflect your thoughts, are on the wall. It could be Jesus. But for me, we had Jesus in the house. We had the Bible. We had pictures of Jesus, but we also had pictures of Dr. King and Kennedy, John Kennedy. If my mother was alive now, this was her politics, and this was my father's politics. If my mother and father were alive today, I'm sure they would have bobbleheads of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and the children. That's their politics now. I'm not getting into this, not political, but you know. But I say all that to say, for 21 years, I thank God to be able to witness history and be able to disseminate that information to you. I think about the book of Habakkuk. Write the vision, make it plain. For a kid from Baltimore, 3 books under my belt. Never imagined that I'd be in a place where I'm fighting for truth, honesty, justice, and freedom. It's an old Negro spiritual. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I be a what? Before I be a what? I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my and be free. Hallelujah. But I think about the journey from then to now. Never really feeling a sense of commitment to anything when I was touring through college, Morgan State University. I mean, I attended Morgan State in the 80s. I'm gonna give you the setting, a song that for many of you may remember. For many of you who don't, Google it. Dougie Fresh in the Show. That's when I went to school. You know, we see people doing the Dougie. Wolf Blitzer even did the Dougie on Ellen DeGeneres. So if you don't know what the Dougie is or the show, Google it. I was that kid just having fun, not knowing what life would be, but understanding that there was a purpose. And then fast forwarding to 2018, I am now pushing for freedom. Freedom for all of us. Freedom of the press is a much bigger issue than just for the press and about the press. And I'm gonna tell you why. When they attack us, they're attacking you. When they attack us, they're attacking you. When they tell us we're fake, when they tell us we're the enemy of the people, when they're telling us that we're the opposition party, and the late Senator John McCain was so right. When they tell us these things, they are working to suppress the press. It's not about us, it's about you. It's about the fact that you're not being informed. It's about the fact that you're not getting the needed information. There is an example of stellar press work that happened just recently, and I'm not going to get into the politics of this issue, but I'm going to give you the story, and you all know what it is. This is when we are at our best. A couple of weeks ago, it feels like it was years ago now. You know where I'm going. Because, I mean, we moved from that now to Kanye. I don't even want to go there. Woo! Hallelujah! We got to pray long and hard on that one. That is no joke. We're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that. We got to come back to that. But anyway, moving on. A couple of weeks ago, we were all glued to the television set. History was in the making. History was in the making. Whether you liked it or not, history was in the making. I have never seen more people glued to their television sets or to their smartphones or any device that they could see and hear something with. We were watching a shift in the political dynamic. We were watching a shift in checks and balances. We were watching the potential confirmation of the next U.S. Supreme Court justice. But what we saw, and this is when we are at our best. Yeah, we got some issues, but this is when we're at our best. There were cameras that happened to be in the hallway. Suzanne Malveaux, my dear friend, and I thank God for her and her intelligence and her smarts and her wit. She saw Senator Flake get on the elevator. And these women who had something to say, running behind them, she was there with the camera. We saw it in real time play out. If that camera had not been there, Senator Flake would not have heard the heart of these women. Again, if those cameras weren't there, Senator Flake probably would have shut the door and we would not have seen the heart bleed out to Senator Flake to see him become vexed. His spirit was in a state of dis-ease. You don't believe me? So, okay, after Suzanne's tape, what happened in the chamber? Senator Flake gets up. He's vexed. The Lord's working on him. Humanity. It's beyond politics. Humanity. Senator Flake couldn't take it. He gets up. Now, Senator Flake is a what? He gets up and walks over to who? Hallelujah. Humanity. Humanity. And says, come here, let's talk. It's not about politics or policy. It's about people. No matter the outcome, you saw in real time what the press can do. You saw us at our finest hour. But I think about these last 2 years. I think about the stories that have been tried, that people have tried to suppress. I think about the need for information. I think about the people who are still crying out. I think about the people who don't necessarily care about Russia, but need to hear about things that affect their lives. I'm not saying that Russia's not important, but I'm saying that it's about people. And I think about something that someone who I really admire, Mignon Moore. She was Democratic strategist. She worked on Hillary Clinton's campaign. She worked with Bill Clinton. And it's not about politics. When I come to you tonight, it's not about politics. It's about humanity. It's not about bashing a president. It's not about bashing a congressperson. It's not about bashing a mayor or a city council person. It's about humanity. I think about what she said. Mignon said, leadership means service. I'm going to say it again. Leadership means service. So in the midst of watching these leaders serve or not serve, I'm covering this most magnificent place, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, a place that I have an office in. Maybe kind of small. If you're claustrophobic, don't come. It's the size of 2 phone booths put together. Remember those phone booths? Now, those of you with wisdom, you remember when you put the cord in the phone, it's about that size. That's what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't know, Google it. But no, seriously, if you don't know what the phone booth size is, think about those phone booths, those red, beautiful phone booths in London. Put 2 of those together. That's my office. That's my office. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's not pretty, but I'm not giving it up. But in the midst of trying to find the service and the leadership, there's stories that come about. Everything and everyone has a story. Everything and everyone has a story. I think about those stories that I've covered from day one. When I first came to Washington, I was in my late 20s. I'm not going to tell you how old I am now. 21 years, late 20, you got to figure it out. Google it. Yeah, they will tell you my age. I think about those stories, and I think about the day that I started asking questions of Mike McCurry, the White House press secretary. That takes you way back. Bill Clinton. And this is how crazy it is in these modern times. You know, I would ask questions about issues of underserved communities, and I was viewed as a militant. That's crazy. I would ask questions about the black farmers and how they were promised monies for being discriminated against by the Department of Agriculture. Oh, she's just a militant. No, but the president said they were supposed to get their money because they were discriminated against. The president wanted to deal with issues of race. I'm a militant. Since when are you a militant when the first 2 or 3 rows ask all these questions about everything else but the communities that have the highest numbers of negatives in this nation? What's wrong? Who are we? So now, years later, it's so interesting, my girlfriend Joy Reid from NBC, she says, yeah, I love her too. She said, I remember a day when April Ryan used to be the only one asking questions about race, and it wasn't in vogue. Now it's in vogue. I'm like, yeah, I must have made it look cute. I don't know. But the crazy thing about it is, it's sad that we're still in a time when we don't feel comfortable asking questions about people who are hurting. Iyanla Van Zant said a couple of weeks ago, and forgive me, my phone is on. Iyanla Van Zant said this a couple of weeks ago. She said she likes the term, I am my brother's keeper. No, I am my brother. She also likes the term, I am my sister's keeper. No, I am my sister. When I'm asking questions, I am all America. When I'm asking questions, I think about who's affected. I think about the impact that that question could make on communities. You don't just think of something and just come out of the side of your neck with it or your eyeball. There's a lot of thought. I know it looks like you do. You're watching the briefings, you know, you're like, where did that come from? There's a reason. And you know, I sit 3 rows in, smack dab in the middle. She sees me. She can't miss me. You know what I'm talking about. And I still smile through it. But when we are pondering our lives, it's not always just about us. And I think about what's on the plate. What are they thinking? You know, I found out in my first book, The Presidency in Black and White, my up-close view of 3 presidents in race in America. Now it's 4 presidents in race in America, because we did the re-edit, reboot, remix, whatever you want to call it. I found that issues affecting all America are always on the table, particularly when it comes to issues of race, diversity, underserved communities. But guess what? It doesn't make it because it's not sexy enough. You don't hear about it because it's not sexy enough. You got people dying, but it's still not sexy enough. You got people dying with this current hurricane, and we're talking about Kanye. We got a reporter, Washington Post stellar reporter, we don't know, and we're talking about Kanye. Wall Street, my money, your money. We talking about Kanye and his daddy issues. We got to pray long and hard for him. Well, it's the truth. Y'all may not like it, but it's the truth. Sometimes it goes down a little rough. You got to take your little water with it, put a little gravy on the dry chicken, you know. But who are we in 2018? Who are we in 2018? You know, I think about the ramp up to these presidents, these last 2 presidents. I think about Bill Clinton and how he, you know, we're going to talk about race because we're a nation that's browning, and we're going to see the minority become the majority. And I was like, okay. Now we're in that moment where we're seeing the babies that are born in this nation, the minority babies that are born, are now the majority babies that are born in this nation. It's not a myth, it's not conjecture, it's happening. Who are we and where are we in this moment? I think about Bill Clinton wanting us to come together as one America, saying that we have to change the prejudice. I mean, think about this. We have all this legislation, all these laws, and we still got issues. So after you make it a legal matter, after you take it to the Supreme Court, after you take it to the governor, after you take it to this one, that one, you still have an issue, what's left? It's a heart issue. As a man thinketh, so is he. It becomes a heart issue. So where are we in 2018 after we talked about race and had all these conversations with Bill Clinton, and then we were hurt when we saw our fellow Americans on top of houses praying for help and stuffed in the Superdome and the Convention Center in New Orleans. And Kanye West, once again, came up saying something. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. He's kind of the theme tonight almost. No, he's not. And then, you know, we think we are better than we had been. We think the keloids, the zits, the scars are gone. We're well-meaning. We're coming together. We're not the 50s, we're not the 60s. We don't have hoses, we don't have billy clubs, we don't have dogs biting our skin. We are now post-racial. I'm going to the polls and I'm going to vote for Barack Obama. I'm going to too. So we elect him as the president. It was like, oh, we've done our job. Yeah, okay. Oh, we're over. Racism is ended, babe. We've got Barack Obama as president. Okay, I covered him. Went to Selma with him, went to Africa with him, talked about race, talked about all sorts of issues. And then the action to put Barack Obama in office now has the reaction. You can say that, April, you are looking at it through a racial lens. Well, I'm going to say it's a racial lens. And this is one of the reasons why I'm in trouble at the White House, but I don't care. Truth is on my side. This president rose to fame politically on birtherism. And what's unfortunate now is some of this continues to go on. Even though people want to stop it, where does it end? How does it end? Now there is a reaction to the action of Donald Trump. Less than 2 years later, we're now seeing women run for office in numbers we've never seen before. We are now seeing something like Cassandra, Florida, and Georgia. I'm like, what is this? We've never seen this before, these southern states with the promise, these red states. I encourage you to vote. I don't care who you vote for, just vote. I don't care what party you vote for, just vote. Seriously, you can clap because I want you to the polls. You come out here for me, I want you to turn out at the polls. But I say all this to say, something is going on. There's a dis-ease in the spirit. When you have these radical actions and reactions, something is going on. Now, I'm telling you this as a reporter sitting back in this crazy, unique perch, 150 feet from the Oval Office, seeing 4 presidents. One of them happens to be black. Haven't seen a woman yet, but I hope I'm there when that happens. History. Who are we in the moments of history? What are we doing in the moments of history? I think about the late, great Shirley Chisholm. 1972, she dared the system. She ran for president of the United States. Black woman. If you don't know her, Google her. She's amazing. New York Congresswoman. And she said, and this is for all of us. Well, I'm a reporter, I can't, but she said this for you guys. If you don't have a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. That's how you make a difference, being at the table, making your voice heard for the justice and the injustice. You know, I think about those souls and soldiers who made a way for many of us. One of my favorite sheroes, and I'm a woman and I'm going to talk about women tonight. Yeah, men do things, I like men, but I'm going to talk about women too. I'm going to lift up my sisters. I think about the strength in the midst of dis-ease. I think about how we find ourselves when we don't know ourselves in the midst of the struggle. I think about, you know, many of us are so highly educated here, and we have beautiful homes. I don't know the nice places in Sacramento. All of it looks nice to me. But think of where we live and from whence we've come. Oh, we're doing very well. But we don't move the needle unless we are personally affected. Politics is personal. But I think about people who didn't have formal education, but the spirit was in a state of dis-ease. Harriet Tubman, Grandma Moses, who I pray will be on the $20 bill. I pray. Andrew Jackson, what are they going to take him? I don't know what they're going to do. But I want her on the $20 bill. And yeah, maybe I am biased, yeah, but she did something. She did something, a lot of something. She said, I freed thousands of slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. And she also said, I was like a neglected weed, ignorant of liberty. She had no formal education, but what did she do? What did she do? She says, this ain't right. She did not know all the formalities of slavery and the profitability of slavery, but she said, this ain't right. So she quietly, with some good white folks, said, I'm gonna help you. She didn't get on a physical train, but she led the train. She was the conductor through the woods, through the swamps, and the boats. Led people to freedom. That was then, this is now. We're still looking for a leader to freedom. We're all still looking for this first-class citizenship. My push right now, I guess I'm the symbol for, one of the symbols for press freedom. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave to no one. We've come too far. But in my quest to be free, and for my brethren in that press corps to be free, I think of all of us. There's something that's holding all of us back in attempts to be free from something. There is something that we are scared to face, to break free and break the chains, to make change. And if you think you don't matter, you're fooling yourself. Baltimore, Maryland, my hometown, which I love, and I still am a proud Baltimorean. I think about one man who made a difference, but if people didn't stand up for him going to the polls, you wouldn't know who he is today. His name is Kwesi Mfume, former head of the NAACP, former Maryland congressman. The man who, Elijah Cummings, he took his spot in Congress, another fighter for freedom. Kwesi Mfume won the city council seat by 3 votes. Again, Kwesi Mfume won his city council seat by 3 votes. If those 3 people didn't feel a dis-ease in their spirit, you wouldn't know who he is today. So I'm saying all this to say we make a difference. If you don't believe me, I think about 58 years ago in Greensboro, North Carolina, young children, and they talk about, oh, children don't make a difference. How many of you remember Woolworths? The 5 and dime. All those kids wanted was something to eat. Think about it, you're hungry. Little black college students wanted something to eat. They got together and sat in. They didn't pay attention to the billy clubs that were smacking against the hand by the white police officers. They sat at the black counter and other white faces were allowed to eat, and they weren't allowed to eat. I think about those who helped them, the young ladies from Bennett College, not too far away from them, another HBCU. I think about so many moments. I think about Congressman John Lewis. Yeah, that's my buddy. But he had to have a dis-ease in his spirit to make a difference. And I'm gonna give you a story. It's in my second book, At Mama's Knee. We almost didn't have a Congressman John Lewis. We almost didn't have him. And I'm gonna tell you why. See, he's from Alabama, Troy, Alabama. And back in that day, you didn't want to rock the boat. His mother felt like, oh, we all right, baby, let it go, let it go. But he was so inquisitive and wanted to find out, well, why is it that we're not allowed to go to the library, Mom? Why is it that there's only a white drinking fountain versus a universal drinking fountain? His mother said, boy, be still, be quiet. You're getting too nosy. She wanted him to rest with his dis-ease, but he was not able to rest. His mother didn't want him to go out marching in the civil rights movement. He wanted to be the first black to attend Troy State. And Dr. King called him the boy from Troy, telling him that if indeed you do this, your family will lose their 100 acres of land and their house could be bombed. So he chose not to do that, but he decided to go on and march on anyway with Dr. King, despite what his mother wanted. His mother was like, oh, it's baby, it's gonna be all right. But what made Congressman Lewis feel like he could push on and he would win in the midst of the physical attacks and abuse was his mother's faith. What did she say? I'd never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed. All right, do y'all all know that one? Okay, well, it's okay. Google it. It's an old Southern saying in the black community. It's basically saying, like the biblical scriptures, if he can take care of the birds and the flowers, he's going to take care of me. That's what it's saying. So because of her faith, not because of what she said, but because of her faith, he felt that that same God that she called out to when she was ironing was going to protect him. She was against it. She was against all of it until she was against the Civil Rights Act marches. She was against the Voting Rights marches until they got the Voting Rights Act. And that's when she said, I'm going to go and I'm going to register folks to vote. It takes a dis-ease in the spirit to change the system. It's not about politics. It's not about policy. This is about heart and humanity. I think about, and I'm going to go there, I think about those young kids a couple of months ago. We have seen such horrors when it comes to people being killed by guns. And I'm not getting into the politics of it at all. But if you want change, what did those young people do in Parkland? They made noise. They took a blueprint that was left for them by Dr. King. And they marched, they galvanized, they organized, and they leveraged. And they said, we're going to change the system. They got the President of the United States to give them an audience, a town hall meeting, and the NRA was upset. I was like, wow, they really are doing something. And then let's fast forward again to a couple of months ago. And again, we have all these shiny balls moving and we forget about issues, and this issue is still on the table. Zero tolerance. The babies that were taken from their mothers and fathers. And that's still an issue. Many of these children are not going to ever see their parents again. But America rallied and changed the dynamic at that moment. But what happened? And I even think about what happened a few weeks ago, not the politics of it, but I'm telling you again from this unique perch that I've been able to watch the world from. People were upset about Kavanaugh. People were upset. What we saw that Saturday when Kavanaugh was confirmed and he was sworn in, if that would have happened continuously, the dynamic may have changed. But I say all this to say, at this moment in time, we are a nation with a lot of flaws. We are a nation with a lot of greatness. We are a nation that is going through growing pains. But I say all this to say, looking at history and looking at this moment and looking at my 21 years, even in the midst of it all, where I have a target on my head because Sarah doesn't like me, Sean told me stop shaking my head, and the president wanted me to get the CBC together for a meeting because they're my friends. I didn't do that, nor will I eat Sarah's pie. But I say all that to say, with my heart, I grew up Saturday mornings when we used to have cartoons. Remember that? 3 networks, we used to have cartoons. And there was a thing called Schoolhouse Rock. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. I still believe in that. These founding fathers made a document. They were forward-thinking. I mean, they were wise beyond their years. They never imagined that there would be a descendant from slaves covering the White House asking a black president and a white president questions. They never even imagined, shoot, Donald Trump ever being in the White House. They never imagined social media. But they put in place these things that we still stand on. Those pillars are shaking right now. But I say to you, in the midst of anything that you're looking for, we the people, in order to form, we're still forming it, a more perfect union. Establish what? Yes, I want you to keep going. Y'all need to Google this. YouTube Schoolhouse Rock. Oh, come on now. To promote the general welfare. Oh, come on, y'all. Okay, well, you got it. You know it. But these are what we stand on. And I'm gonna tell you something. I never thought I would hug something so much. I bought the little Constitution for my children, for myself. I mean, I've had it, I've lost it, had it and lost it. But I'm like, look at this, guys. But I'm gonna say this to you. I thank God for those founding fathers and what they did, because if it weren't for them, me and some of my other colleagues would be out of that room. I stand on the First Amendment, and it's not a coincidence that it's number 1. It's beyond and before all the rest of them. Number 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's important. As we're now looking at the other branches of government, sometimes faltering in their checks and balances, the Fourth Estate is here. We may not be perfect, but we're here. And I stand on that freedom. And because I stand on that freedom, so much so, loudly, I'm a target. And as a target, you've heard the stories, it's true. It's true, and I'm not gonna go into it. But what I will tell you is, in this house of worship, there's been a hedge of protection around me. Because for a little black girl coming from Baltimore, to sit in the middle of that room, to be called names, told what I am and what I ain't, and for a president of the United States to every time he sees me, and I'm still standing, God is good. With that, thank you. Aspire to inspire.
Okay, sit down.
I kind of like that, thank you.
I think somebody's been telling some truth around here. Okay, it's time for some questions. If you have a question, if you please raise a hand, and I will try and get to as many people as I can.
Oh, we got a couple. Okay, I like that. Don't be shy, because I'm not.
I'm going back here first, and I'll come back. I'm going in the order I see people.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You talked about Parkland, and
Yes.
those students made a big deal about wanting to change the system, that they were going to register young people to vote, they're going to get the vote out. Nobody's gone back to them this fall to say, how's it going? What are you doing?
You're absolutely right.
And I think that would be really interesting, because my frustration is, how do we get the younger generation, and I mean very young generation, to get out and vote? And I think they would be great role models.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm from that, you're absolutely, you can clap for her. I'm from that family that believed in voting. My parents used to take me to, remember when we had the things, the voting machines, where you pulled the curtain and it made that loud noise? Well, I'd be up there under my parents watching them pull those little levers and stuff. I guess that was the system where you had the dimpled and the pregnant chads and the hanging chads and all that stuff. Y'all remember that too? Oh, Lord. We don't want to go back there. But Parkland is a very unique case, and there are so many shiny balls all over the place. And we need to find out what's going on, because you hear about so many other groups that are trying to galvanize to get people to the polls. I think it's very important to go back to them, particularly as millennials are very important in this election. And the last election, millennials said, I don't want to vote. The vote was their protest. They felt they didn't make a difference. And that is terrible. Their vote was their protest. It was their privilege, and they didn't realize it. It was their right, it was their truth. And I'm praying that someone will talk or work with the millennials. And I think that's a great story. I may try to find out, no, I'm not gonna, I will, because I'm gonna find out how to get to them. And because I'm president. What'd you say? You heard it in Sacramento. I will say, and what's your name? I'll say I heard it from you in Sacramento. Thank you for that. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. They have a website? They keep you informed off a website. Do you have the website address? I guess we have to Google it. Let's not give out a, yeah, we'll Google it. We'll Google it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. This may be a little bit on the light side. I haven't seen Sarah Huckabee in the last month.
She's around, trust me.
She
took a picture with Kanye yesterday. I retweeted it. Oh, come on, y'all.
Well, thank
And
God
she was smiling. She was
thank
in
God
Oval
I was
Office.
in Denver then. The second one is, if she does kind of disappear, have you thought about applying for the press secretary?
Have I thought about a plan? Well, what I will say is, God bless her. I've seen them come and go. And I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt washed. She's gonna go at some point, and I'll still be there. They're saying that she's trying to have an elegant exit, right? She's gonna have, I don't know when she's leaving, but there will be a point. But, I will say this, it's a sin and a shame that there are no briefings, and she thinks she can have one in the month of September, whatever. It's not about us. It's about you. You're not finding out the information. And for the life of me, I don't understand why people are not protesting this, are not screaming about this. Because she is not, there's so much on this, the stakes are so high, there's so much on the table. And you don't know what's going on. To watch how she delivers something, to watch her spin it or lie or tell the truth about it, you would see. And you're not seeing it. You don't know what's happening. And for them just to have the president come out when he decides to say something, and he'll give you the talking point, and you don't hear someone countering or questioning. Where are we different from Russia and China? Thank you. I'm sorry. That's just my feeling.
Hello, my name is Beverly, and thank you for coming to Sacramento.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you.
It's my adopted home, too, and it's an awesome place, diversity
awesome.
and all
Yes.
that. We've got a lot going on here.
Yes, look at this crowd. I love a
Yeah.
diverse crowd.
And it's this way all over Sacramento and
It's
everything
awesome.
we do.
It's awesome.
One of the things I wanted to ask about is this whole phenomenon of having two sides to every story. I frankly think there's multiple sides to every story.
Exactly.
And I hate this, you say this and we say that. I really would like to see the press get a little deeper. and get a little broader in terms of telling stories and telling truth. And I'd also like to see the press call a lie, and the
Have you turned CNN on? Because I tell you what, Don Lemon is calling it out.
he is.
And I'm gonna tell you something. He got very upset tonight. He's like, "Where are you?" I said, "I can't tonight." And he was like, "Where are you?" I said, "Sacramento." He didn't answer the phone when I called. He was like mad at me. But Don is calling it out. Chris Cuomo is calling it out. I mean, Aaron Burnett is calling it out. I don't, you know, I'm going to tell you, the folks that I work with, those anchors, they are bold about it, because for a time such as this, you cannot sit up there and have someone reshape history or tell a bold lie without someone coming and saying, no, that is not the case. People need to be informed, and you make a decision. Now, when it comes to that, the two sides to every story, that's what I was taught in school, but that is not the case. When you go two sides to every story, that's the he say, she say stuff. So here's what you do. You get all sides of a story, because you want to complete the picture. Because let's say, okay, let's talk about the tariff issue. You want to get the president's side. You want to get an opposing side. You want to get a farmer who it hurts. You want to get a farmer who it helps. You want to talk to the people overseas as well, China, whatever, who has a stake in this. So that's what I'm talking about, all sides of the story. I want people as informed as they can be. When I give you something, I try my best to give you everything, so you know, and you can walk out and say, okay, I can make my own decision. And I try not to give you any editorial in my reporting. I try not to. I work hard not to. I don't think I do, but I hope I answered you. Okay. I'm gonna tell Don he's got some friends here. Wait a minute, hold on. All right, hold on. I'm gonna do this, and don't laugh at me. Hold on. Okay. What am I? Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna do this. Hold on. I'm gonna send this to Don. Hold on. All right, guys. Does Don Lemon have friends? Oh my gosh, okay. So Don, you have friends in Sacramento. Don't be mad at me, all right? All right, you did very well on that.
April, welcome to Sacramento.
Thank you so much.
I can't believe you don't have a cryon right underneath you right now.
A what?
One of the little labels going, I'm used to watching.
Okay, so I walk with my own cryon. A chyron, yeah, okay.
I adore you.
Oh, thank you.
I was going to ask about mentoring in the press.
About what?
Mentoring.
Mentoring?
Younger
Okay.
press people coming up. The other day I saw a press briefing, and I think a lady, a row or two up from you, asked about the Central Park 5.
Aisha Roscoe, yes, from NPR.
And I happened to look up, and I saw your expression, and you were like, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And I see that maybe you open the door to that, people asking that kind of truth and those hard questions.
That's what people are saying. I mean, because even during the Obama years, people were scared to ask about race. I'm like, what is the problem? Race is a subject that people don't like to touch. There are reporters, I happen to sit in the third row. After the third row, it's kind of like the hinterlands, and I hate to say it, but that first row controls a lot. The second row has a lot of control. That third row, we like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. But we in the state of play, but so if they don't ask the questions in the first and second rows, we'll come back and third, I'm like, okay, or I'll ask it a different way and get an answer to it. Because sometimes they hammer it home the same way. I'm like, but they've not called on me anymore. So Sarah stopped calling me. So I've been strategic in when I want to interject. And she answered this time, because the other time she was like, she just looked at me. I'm like, oh, you're not gonna call on me. It's okay. But I think we both learned a lesson there, so she's now calling on me when I at least scream out. But it's important that it's not just the first two rows, because they kind of go on the same questions. There are people, we have people in the press from all types of groups, or organizations, I would say. But what's bothering me in the press, and this is something, and I'm going to speak on this, it's bothering me so much so. When I started, I was there with Helen Thomas. She was my mentor. Helen Thomas is the reason why I have the 3 books that I have. She connected me with her agent, her literary agent. and that's my literary agent now. She was my mentor, my friend, and I miss her because I wonder how she would cover this now. She's, if they close the door, why is this door closed? Helen would get in your face. Helen would challenge Reagan, and he would laugh and still, be respectful. There was a friendly adversarial relationship. Now people are afraid. People are afraid. I'm like, why? What are they gonna do? So, and so the bottom line is now we have, back then we had Helen, we had Sam Donaldson, another friend. Yes, I learned how to throw my voice because of Sam Donaldson. He had a big mouth. I said, I got to do that too. So to get your question in the ear of the president, to shout over someone else so you can be heard, because you're fighting. It's a mosh pit. It's a friendly adversarial relationship, but it's a mosh pit. Bill Plant, the veteran journalist, Bill Plant. I mean, so many good people are no longer. Ann Compton. They're now gone. And Bill Plant told me the other day, he said, you're the last one of us. I said, really? So. But what hurts me today, that room is so different. See, back then it was not about party affiliation. It was just about the story. Now the line has been obscured. It's opinion and fact, and you don't know which one is which. Now in that room you have people all the way over here to the right, conservative journalists. You have people all the way over here that are liberal journalists. And I consider myself, that's the way it was, Walter Cronkite kind of giving you the facts. Trying to flesh out the truth by asking questions. I don't have an agenda. People may think, and I'm not an advocate journalist, but I do happen to ask questions that many won't ask. But I'm so thankful that Aisha brought that up, because the Central Park Five is really big. When you're picking and choosing who you believe sexually assaulted someone or not. You say Brett Kavanaugh didn't do it, but now, if you don't know about the Central Park Five, I'm going to give you a synopsis of a synopsis. Black and brown men were in Central Park accused of sexual violations. Donald Trump, civilian Donald Trump at the time, took out an ad in the New York Times, a full-page ad saying the death penalty should be their sentence. But then in the White House, he's talking about, I believe Brett Kavanaugh because people accuse me. But he said that. Am I lying? No. I'm in the house of worship. I'm not lying. But then he's going to take that full-page ad out. And then also, if you remember, there's a man by the name of Bill Clinton. That he had the people, the people who alleged sexual assault or sexual violations against him. So he believed that Bill Clinton and the Central Park Five did it, but nobody else did it. So that's why that question came up at a critical moment. See, you give us one part of the story, but this is the rest of the story. People need to be informed, because that was a story that kind of fell under. It happened. He took out a full-page ad. So I was and I didn't realize I was nodding, but I was so happy that she asked that, because a lot of times people won't. And when you come to that room, you need to be studied and know what's going on, because listen to what everybody has to say. You have to overstudy sometimes. Listen to what they have to say and the answers, so you can come back and challenge. So I was so appreciative of her that day. Thank you for asking that question. Okay.
Hi, good evening. My question
Hello.
is about the governor race in Georgia with Stacey Abrams. Could you elaborate a little bit more on, what's going on with this voter registration?
Yeah, so apparently she wants him, she wants him to resign or recuse himself? No, I think she wants him out of there. She wants him out of there because they have purged a lot of black voter registrations. Yeah, because of little misspellings or something, little small stuff. And that's like back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, before we got voting rights, which is now not even in place in southern states. So we'll see how that plays out. But she's fighting a battle down there. She is really strong. And that is a tactic. That is a tactic, and if they didn't mean for it to be a tactic, it does not look good at all. So, and those are voters that typically would vote for her. So there's a battle in the southern red state of Georgia against a black woman who's a Democrat and a white man who's a Republican. And the black vote looks like it's going to Stacey Abrams. That's the truth. So we'll see how that plays out. Because I just started getting it, like really getting it today. So yeah, I hope I answered you. Okay. Pastor Jones, okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you for
they
being
hot
here.
up here, Pastor Jones. You got to come up here because they're ready to talk. They're like coming over
up
there.
soon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Up close here. Thank you for being here tonight. I've got a better seat at half the price than the Midtown Concourse in Memphis on April 4th. That was a priceless evening. But the question about the mob label. A week ago last night, there was a electric candlelight vigil at the Capitol. There was a lot of lament. There were a lot of really raw stories. There was anger, but I don't think the mob label fit. So where are we going with that? The spin,
Didn't Johnny
throwing
Cochran
that
say,
out there.
if it doesn't fit, you must have quit? So since when, and see, this is what, and it's not about politics, okay? Let me say this. And again, like I said, we the people, part of what our founding fathers put in place, we are allowed to organize, we are allowed to march, we are allowed to demonstrate, we are allowed to protest peacefully and civilly. We're American, we're patriots. Now we're a mob, an angry mob. You know, they were calling us unpatriotic before if we said something, if you asked a question they didn't like, if you took a knee. Even taking a knee is still patriotic and is still under what the founding fathers said. And I'm sorry that may be offensive to some, but hey, it is. But let's talk, let me talk about that really fast, taking the knee. Okay, so I talked to MLK3, Martin Luther King III. He said his daddy would be taking a knee. If he couldn't kneel, he'd be supporting Colin Kaepernick. But the issue is not about the flag. It's not about our wonderful servicemen who are fighting for our freedoms. It's not about that. It's not about this country that we love, that we understand we're still forming and going through growing pains. Taking the knee is to help people spotlight the ills that are happening in police-involved abuses. Now, I'm gonna say this to you. When it comes to black people, we are the most patriotic. We've got family members, friends in the military, in the police departments. I almost married 2 of them. I did. But you gotta remember, Dr. King said, and I think this is what Colin Kaepernick tried to do, make the comfortable uncomfortable, to see the issue. And Jim Brown was at the White House yesterday, and I asked him about that. Yeah, stop. Jim Brown doesn't, yes, we have to, this young lady is next in the purple, my Prince purple. Okay, thank you. He doesn't like the idea, but he has a right to feel that way. Jim Brown has a right to feel that way, but other people have a right to feel the way they feel too. And that's what makes this country great. We can agree to disagree civilly. But why hasn't the issue come up then? Everybody knows now what the issue is. The red hot spotlight is on this. Why haven't we had a civil conversation about this yet? Instead of making the focus on that. If we have the conversation, maybe that will stop. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm just thinking realistically, I don't know. That's why I get in trouble. And Sarah doesn't call on me, but that's okay. It's a blessing, isn't it? Yes. Hello, welcome.
Hi, my dear.
She got her question. Yes. Let's go.
I have 2 statements.
Uh-oh.
1 question.
Okay.
Statement number 1.
Oh, my goodness.
I am trying my best
Uh-oh.
to be just like you when I grow up.
Oh.
Therefore, I want to encourage you to continue to be best.
Be best?
Be best.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble?
I know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying too.
I know you would. And my question is, can you take 1 minute to talk about Prairie View University in Texas and its voting problem?
What's going on there? Now, y'all tell me, tell me.
Oh, have mercy, Jesus.
Uh-oh, okay. She's
Graduated
calling on
from
Jesus.
Prairie
Come
View
on,
in
talk to me.
1968, getting ready to celebrate the 50th anniversary. However,
Okay, what's
I
going
was so disturbed to hear that the residents, which of Waller County, Texas, about 45 miles northwest of Houston. Anyway, the students can't vote there on campus. They have
Why?
well, it's something has to do with the residency, and I didn't hear the whole story this morning. My daughter, I missed Rachel last night. And so-
Excuse me? Let's give the mic to somebody else.
No.
I love Rachel Maddow. I got you.
Listen.
But in this room, let's say CNN. Yes.
Well, anyway.
We don't use four-letter words in here.
All right. But anyway, she gave the story.
MSNBC is the four-letter word.
Really did a great job doing it. So
Yeah.
maybe you don't know, but anyway, the students there are having a hard time, and they even arrested a gentleman who I think was a candidate for office.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you what this sounds like. This sounds like what happened in Alabama.
Yeah, it's
with
not
the
good.
vote. It sounds like what happened in Alabama with and I should have known this, but I've been on a book tour and I've been getting news. Okay. But what happened in Alabama, it sounds something like this. They shut down the motor vehicle offices in black communities, trying to suppress the black vote. They need to get in touch with the NAACP, NAN. They need to work with the Board of Election Supervisors. Something is not right there. Something is not right. So they need to galvanize, organize, and they really need to do it. And I'm going to investigate that. Yes,
Well, the
ma'am.
biggest thing is that they moved the voting place about 30 miles.
That's Alabama. That's what they did in
Away
Alabama
from
with
the
the
university.
That's what they did in Alabama with the Department of Motor Vehicles. They shut the motor vehicle offices down in the black communities to register, for people to register to vote. And the only places they could go was a long way away, where a lot of these people didn't have cars, in the white communities. So, and I'm gonna tell you this, Anthony Fox, the head of the Department of Transportation, took this up and won his battle against that. So this sounds like it's right along that it's that same prescription that they're trying to do this, and it was deemed wrong. So I wonder how they're going to handle this, but that's not right. It sounds like voter suppression at its best.
April, thank you so much for coming first.
Thank you for having me.
Just a quick last-minute note about the Prairie View situation. 5 minutes before I got here tonight, I heard on radio that the clerk in the county that serves Prairie View called the Democratic candidate, it was his staff person who was arrested for the sin of taking a picture, and she has told him that she will resolve this. She will make sure that all the students get to vote without a further problem. And I thought it was I don't know the whole thing about it, but
2018, everyone should be able to vote.
On the other hand, I'm terrified about what's happening in Georgia. I see every time that progress is made in this country, people who are threatened by it do whatever they can and misuse the system to take it away.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams could be one of the finest governors in the country. She's one of the finest candidates. I support women getting elected. I support people of color getting elected. We have a tremendously diverse candidate pool right now.
Yes, we do.
I am terrified that we're going to end up hardly better after Election Day than we are now. So I'm hoping that you have some sense of how people are really thinking.
So let me say this to you. It is not a given that this blue tsunami that they're predicting is going to happen. And I have talked to Stacey Abrams, and I've talked to Andrew Gillum, and I've talked to Ben Jealous. Stacey Abrams is very well aware that there's a quiet movement for the opposing candidate So she's trying to, and that's one of the reasons why that purging of those registrations is so important, because she was trying to ramp up to ensure her win, but she knows that there's a quiet move. There's this quiet, not only in Georgia, but it's in Florida too, and it's in Maryland. There's this quiet effort to thwart that with this red wave that they're talking about. So it's important, it's imperative for people to go vote. That's all, and make sure, follow your vote card, follow your registration, make sure you are voting in the right district, make sure your stuff is up. If you haven't voted in a while, was it October 22nd? You got until October 22nd, fix it now, go to tomorrow, make sure your stuff is right. If you voted the last election, you should be fine for this one, okay? If you voted in the primary, you should be fine for this one. But it's imperative. If you even call your friends, call your parents, call your family, call anyone, and just challenge them to vote. In other states, challenge them to vote. Get those numbers out. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. That's how we start. And then once you get them in office, you hold their feet to the fire. You let them know that they work for you. Leadership means service. Okay, I hope I answered, thank you. Okay, yes ma'am, hi.
Hi, this is a question, kind of runs along the same lines, but within the last couple of days, apparently the Supreme Court ruled that the North Dakota voter registration routines that were designed to disenfranchise the Standing Rock Sioux by demanding that you had to have a street address in order to register, and many of those who live on the reservation do not have street addresses, could go forward. Now, I'm just wondering, are we going to see a little more serious coverage of what the Supreme Court is doing?
Let me say this. There needs to be more coverage. The problem is, once again, we got all these shiny balls, and you don't hear about these stories on the front page, or the A block, or on the above the fold of the newspaper, even if we get a newspaper anymore. And if you watch the news on the website, you're not going to see, you have to look for this. But what I'm going to tell you is all of this stuff, if you put a sepia tone, make this a sepia tone picture, it sounds like, it looks like, and it smells like, yeah, it sounds like what we were going through back in the 50s and 60s, counting the bubbles in the jar and the numbers of bubble gum in a jar, what have you. It's ridiculous in 2018. And why do people feel that they can do it? Because there's not enough of an outcry. And I keep saying, and I'm telling you this, we the people make a difference. If we get up en masse and say, this is not right, once people scream out, they start listening. The squeaky wheel gets to it. They don't want to hear squeaking. They believe that, and see what's happening. Let me tell you this. The more people are getting away with, the more they think they can do. All right. That's the problem. And we're seeing this pattern right now. We are seeing this pattern. I'm getting in trouble, but I don't care. What they gonna do to me? We're seeing this pattern. So it takes you to rise up and write an op-ed piece, or call your government official to say, what are you doing about this? You know, it takes all of you to come in together. If everyone in this room called on one issue, my God, I guarantee you it will change. I'm serious. Hello.
Hello. First of all, we watch you every night. We do not miss you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Did you see me last night?
Oh, yeah, we saw you last night. You really did it. Very articulate, very smooth. It was unbelievable. I just wanted to, have you visited the Linton Memorial yet? In Montgomery with the Equal Justice Initiative.
Okay, so Kamala Harris, the lynching, let me see. I just saw it, yes, because I tweeted about it on the plane and I was half asleep. Let me go back. Hold on, let me see. And you know lynching is still, it's not a law against lynching.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
So as
Fannie Lou Hamer said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. She was pushing against that. And let me see, hold on, I'm finding it, hold on. Let me see, Kamala Harris, she did it. Let me see, I found it. Go ahead, I'm looking for it. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that when your remarks are always in the historical context.
I try.
Because none of this stuff is new.
It's
Americans
not.
are asleep. Everything that's going on, we have been through it before. So I really appreciate your historical accuracy when you
Thank
speak,
you.
because you're speaking from truth and power
Thank you
of what
so
happens
much.
in America. Thank you
so
very much.
Here it is, okay. Okay, Kamala Harris from California. And she's a graduate of an HBCU, Howard University. So there's a HU up in here. Who's HU? There's a whole lot of HU. Morgan State. Wilberforce, all right. Morehouse, okay. HBCUs are very near and dear in the Black community. They produce a lot of middle income students who are contributors to society. And we got to give it up for our HBCUs. And they're not racist institutions. Read my latest book. I'll tell you why they're not. Okay. The Senate Judiciary Committee unanimously voted to move the anti-lynching bill I introduced with Senators Booker and Scott forward. Lynching was a despicable part of our nation's history, yet lynching is still a federal hate crime. The Senate is still not a federal hate crime, I'm sorry. Let me read that again. Lynching was a despicable part of our nation's history, yet lynching is still not a federal hate crime. The Senate must correct this. Okay, so that came out 11 hours ago, and I retweeted it. All right, so, and I'm gonna put a heart on it now. Okay, yes.
So April, how are you doing? Another couple of questions?
I'm here. You
You're
brought
here?
me all the way on the West Coast.
I know it's 11:30 your time.
It's 11:30. I stay up till like 1 o'clock sometimes, just watching the news. Okay, so if it's 11:30, I'm just cooling down after doing dawn and like trying to settle down. So we're good.
I just want to, I'm glad you're here also, April.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
I just want to make a statement because I wanted to Google it and make sure I got the right year.
Okay.
So in 1968, we know that they protest with the Black Power. So taking a knee is not something new to us.
It's not.
So, you know, everybody making like it's such a big thing that it's a big thing. It's not. They took the Black Power. It was
at the Olympics.
Yeah, at the Olympics.
Well, yeah. Yes. Okay, we got a lot of hands up. I'm gonna try to answer as many questions as I can. Protest is nothing new. I mean, everyone, I don't know why everyone thinks it's new and it's anti-patriotic and all. Yeah, it is. It's true, non-knowing. Yes, sir.
Hi, April. I'm
Hi.
Jared. And
Hi, Jared. Nice
first,
to
I
meet
just want to say I loved your speech and
thank
this
you.
event.
So you're gonna get the book, right?
Does it come in audiobook?
Excuse me?
Audiobook?
It is on audiobook. I just found that out. And I wrote the book and I just found out.
Nice. You touched a little bit on social media.
Social media.
And as a whole, social media was like Twitter, which I can't even figure out, and Instagram, we have Facebook, all the other things. Do you think that's helped our democracy and our government, or has it actually hurt it?
Let me talk about social media. I love social media. I love social media because it gives us that instant gratification. We can be around the world in a moment's notice. We can watch something, an uprising that's happening in any part of the world instantly and see what's there before the news sees it sometimes. But then at the same time, sometimes the people who are holding it and doing that video they don't understand about being a citizen journalist and getting the facts right. I'm concerned with people who manipulate the story to get clicks on their website or whatever. Social media is also now used to push what I don't like the term, and I'm gonna say it, fake news. I don't like that. And I'm a proponent now, and I'm gonna tell you this, and I want you to please follow this. Please consider the source when you see those headlines, because I've been pulled in because they're so sensational, like, oh my gosh, but I look at the source first. And once I see the source, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Because people try to draw you in. Yes. And the example how this is fatalistic, is cosmic pizza, the thing with Hillary Clinton, how people want to believe the foolishness. And we are now at a time we have to be critical thinkers because there's so much thrown at us. And we have to discern, we have to use wisdom in trolling social media. Because I'm huge on Twitter. I love Twitter because I look at everyone, like, you can touch the leaders and you can see what they're thinking and saying and read the articles. Facebook, I'm good on, and I love the gram, okay? Instagram. Because my kids are on there, I get a chance to watch them, see what they're doing. But no, social media is great, but it can be abused, and we are the victims when it's abused. So we have to be very careful with it, but I think it's one of the greatest things ever, but it has also changed the dynamic of news. Everyone thinks that they're a journalist now. Everyone thinks they're journalists. And I'm like, okay, is that how it was? Okay, thank you. But consider the source when you're going into articles and stuff. Just consider the source. I hope I answered your question. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, April.
Hi.
Welcome to Sacramento area.
Yes, I like
I
Sacramento.
have a couple of comments. First of all, about 5 years ago, when the bad tsunami and earthquake in Japan. So my son was over there working in the embassy, so we made a lot of friends in the different areas. And now we're getting questions by email. What is going on in our country? And I'm working right now, volunteering in a congressman's office. And the millennials are a big problem, huge problem. And I've taken the...
How are they problem?
How are they? We're not voting.
Right, okay.
Exactly that, what you said. But I've been taking the liberties to tell them, I'm a woman of the
don't tell it. You look
my
good.
second child in 74.
Okay.
And I was telling them, I had to have my husband come and sit and watch a video in order for me to get a tubal ligation because I had C-sections where they put me out. And if he didn't sign, I couldn't have it. And I also spoke to them about credit cards. They would give you a $300 limit or a $500 limit, but you couldn't get $1,000 unless you had a man. And so I'm trying to educate these young women that are saying no, they won't vote, that this is where we're going. And we could easily go back to this because no one is standing up. Easily.
Oh.
Yes.
So there was a time, and there's still a time, there was a time that we were taught to go to school, get a good education, or not even go to school. Find a good man, let him, and he'll take care of you. In the Black community, Black women are now increasing in number as the head of household.
Yes.
And the major breadwinner in the household. So there's not necessarily a man there. We have to be independent. Black women voted overwhelmingly for Hillary Clinton, the last presidential election. Gloria Steinem, in my latest book, Under Fire, says that, and this goes to your point, 51% of married white women voted for Donald Trump. She said they voted their husbands. What are y'all doing across the aisle? Y'all pointing at each other. What are you doing? Okay. This group, you guys, okay, I see. So, all right, okay, they high-five, and I guess I'm speaking truth. Gloria Steinem, the feminist, said this. And she said the 51% of married white women voted their husbands. Politics, because they are under his economic umbrella, his social umbrella. And I just wonder, and 49% of single white women did not vote for him. So I just wonder what this is going to look like midterms and in 2020. Yes. after all of this stuff with women, women journalists, Dr. Christine Ford. Even if you believe or don't believe, a lot of women relived pain. And we had friends, maybe ourselves, and people were crying. It was the craziest. That was humanity to me. It was just humanity. And what do you do with that? When you hurt, what do you do with that? And that hurt comes from watching something that some people could change. I want to see how that plays out. Yeah. Hi, Cassandra. This is the one from Baltimore.
And I'm so proud of you because you are a Baltimore girl. And so I'm going to ask a question that has nothing to do with issues.
Okay.
I want to know about you.
Oh, gosh.
How do they treat you? Not them, your colleagues. How's your work-life balance? Are you getting enough rest? Are you eating enough?
I never get enough rest.
I want to know if you're okay.
I'm okay, and I'm going to be okay. Thank you for asking. Work-life balance, right now, I get very little sleep. The other day, people are like, how are you staying? I don't know. I've been on planes and trains and automobiles a lot. But how are they treating me? The members of the press corps, I am considered the dean of the press corps, one of the deans, but I'm considered a dean of the press corps. Some of the new ones don't like it. I don't care. They just got here. And they got, when you get the scars, your medals, maybe we can talk. I have some people who are very young, just got there 2 days ago. How does she get on TV? How does she do this? I'm like, sister, the weight of the crown is heavy. You don't know. But when you tell the truth, sometimes it hurts people. And it exposes ugliness. But sometimes when you expose it, it fixes it. And the White House is a place, and I've learned this from writing my first book, there's still a veil on it. It's still a place of mystery, even though we got a president who opens it up to everyone. Kanye. We got to pray long and hard for Kanye. He's on my heart. It's still it's a mystery. And everyone has their truth. But when it comes to seeing things the way I see it and what I hear, you wouldn't know it unless I told it. So I have to tell it. And sometimes truth hurts. And they're going to have to eat it. But for this moment, this is not about money. This is not about fame. This is about letting people know what's happening inside this historic, magnificent, wonderful place built by slaves that houses the leader of the free world. So you can make a decision, whether you like the press or not, or whether you like what you see or not, from my vantage point, which is unique. 2 weeks ago, if I was lying, I wouldn't have been sitting next to Steve Bannon. He invited me to his home 2 weeks ago. Stop. I sat with Steve Bannon for 2 hours. I did an interview I know. And there's someone in the White House who's very high, very close to the president, who I will not mention, who brought me into the White House to talk about some issues. I'm not going to say because you'll know who I'm talking about. But if I was so bad, they wouldn't want me around them. So game peeps game. The lady behind you said, what did she say? Game peeps game. Meaning, I know what you're doing because I've seen it before. Yeah, so I'm sorry. That's kind of Baltimore-esque, but I brought Baltimore to Sacramento. All right.
April, I'm still seeing dozens of hands up. But
okay, we can go. As long as you want to go, we can go. But you better buy the book.
Yeah, because we got to go across the way. I'm just going to take 2 more questions, so please don't keep putting your hands up. I've got
You know
the 2
what, wait a
people
minute. Pastor Jones, you know what we can do? If someone has a piece of paper, we can kind of do a lightning round, and I can write down the questions, and I can do rapid fire answers. You don't like that? Okay, all right. Okay, all right.
April, also glad that you made it here today.
Thank you.
Most definitely, most definitely. And those football players that are kneeling, they're kneeling for me. I mean, I am not a young African-American male, okay? And I've been stopped with my kids in the back, you know, and asked to get out of the car without even telling me why I got stopped. And I'm an old man. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, what gives with that? But that's just more of a statement. I guess my question is, the Electoral College. We're getting killed by that. And the way things are going right now, let's think about it, okay? The last 2 Republican presidents have been actually, you know, elected, slim margins in the Electoral College, lose the popular vote, lose it. And this last time, by almost 3 million. I mean, do we have to win by 10? I mean, you're getting to the point where do the people on the coast really matter? Because when you look at the middle's not changing. You know, all the cultural diversity is coming on the sides.
You know, yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because if you look at it, it looked to me like a blue and red sandwich, like really raw meat in the middle and blue slices of bread. Really, if you look at it, I was like, I have a really strange way of associating things. But what needs to happen is people need to get out to vote. You need to call your cousins over there in Nebraska and North Dakota, South Dakota, anywhere. Just call your cousins, your friends, your family, and challenge them to vote. If you don't like the outcome, what are you going to do to fix it? And I mean, I was there when Al Gore and George W. Bush, we didn't know who the president was for how many weeks? I mean, they were even making, the White House M&Ms didn't have a name when I have those, because they didn't know who our president was going to be. Well, that was crazy. And we never thought we'd see that again, and look what happened. If Hillary Clinton, and if maybe that's who you wanted, I don't know if you wanted Hillary, Bernie, or maybe even Ben Carson or Jeb Bush, I don't know. But it sounds like you wanted somebody else other than this person. But let's just say Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, if she would have gone to Georgia, wait a minute. You know, there was a strategy. I'm giving you a little bit of information that you don't know about. The Democrats and those who were running her campaign tried to stop talking. Well, they didn't try. They stopped talking about gun control so they could win southern states. And the numbers, for North Carolina to be close, for there to be a chance of Georgia, she just didn't go in. They should have used the Obamas earlier. She could have gone to Michigan, Wisconsin, all those places. Sometimes, this was a whole new construct of politics. We never seen this before. There was a shock and awe. They couldn't handle it. Donald Trump was talking about people's hair and their feet, and they were like, and they just was stunned. I was like, y'all gotta get straight up there, this man. I'm like, you know, because I'm serious. I said, they didn't understand, you know, everyone up there is, thus thou art, wherefore there is. And I'm going to enact this. Donald Trump's like, yeah, your hair looks a mess. Look at you. You know, and that's what happened. People were like liking it. When you have someone who changes the game, you don't know how to react. So the next time, see, in politics, we've been looking for the attractive president, someone that's visually appealing. Then we look at, okay, what are his policies? Now we're into this, he's got to be a rock star. I knew the person who was going to win the office had to be a rock star. Donald Trump, whether you like it or not, is a rock star. Hair and the tan included. He's a rock star. He is a reality show rock star whose brand got to the White House, whether you like it or not. Now what's going to happen is we need somebody physically attractive, appealing. You know, really, seriously, no, this is the country. You are not going to vote for someone who's not physically appealing or attractive. If he's got 3 eyes on his, you're like, I'm not going to vote for him. Well, maybe now we might. Who knows? So, someone appealing who looks appealing to you is like, oh, okay, he's okay. Or he looks like my son's friend down the street around the corner. Physically attractive, the policy, rock star, and street. Someone has got to be up on that stage to be able to go back and forth with Donald Trump. Because if they can't, they're going to be viewed as weak. It's got to be someone who's got some Baltimore, Cleveland, LA, Sacramento swag, St. Louis swag, some DC swag. It's got to be someone when he comes in talking about, well, look at your feet, well, look at your hair. It's got to be, I mean, seriously. And in my book, I'm not trying to be funny, but you got to do it in a diplomatic way where you don't look bad. And I'm going to say this, and it's in my latest book, Under Fire. And I'm going to give this to you really fast, synopsis of a synopsis. The day that I wanted to quit the White House, Sean Spicer said, stop shaking your head. I'd gone through a whole bunch of stuff, from a fight with Omarosa. And I don't, fight with her. She said that I was taking money from Hillary Clinton, which was a lie. Tell the truth and shame the devil. So we stopped kind of talking. Then we got into an altercation in the White House. And this is all leading to a point. Got into the altercation in the White House, not far from the Oval Office. The president heard it because we were fussing about what had happened. Went from there. 2 weeks later, because she's talking about, you're taking money from Hillary Clinton. I said, stop telling that lie, I'm gonna sue you, blah, blah, blah. The president heard this. 2 weeks later, can you get the CBC, me and the CBC together? Are they your friends? All right, I'm supposed to be taking money from Hillary, and now the DNC, I'm friends with them, so, okay, you get this, I'm gonna take. Then Sean Spicer stops shaking your head and all that stuff, right? I wanted to quit. I was going to quit. That night, it took me a long time to get home. I couldn't get my mind together. I had people call me to support me. You can't quit, you can't quit. I was on the verge of quitting because I said, I got the President of the United States after me, I got Sean after me, I got the crazy Omarosa after me. I said, I just can't. I said, I can't. This is the truth. It sounds like a reality show, but God knows it's the truth. Because if it was a lie, they'd be suing me by the book. So anyway, that night, a friend of mine, I didn't get home till about 8 o'clock at night, and I was driving, pondering how I was going to make my living and take care of my 2 children as a divorced mother in Baltimore. And I said, I'm done, and a friend of mine by the name of Ryan Williams from NBC called me. He said, April, have you seen Hillary Clinton? I said, here I am trying to ponder the rest of my life, and he's talking about Hillary Clinton. I was like, I don't care. He said, have you seen Hillary Clinton? So he sends me the link on my smartphone as I'm driving. Oprah Winfrey would be mad because I'm looking at it. And I said, okay. And then she says, they're going after these women of integrity, Maxine Waters and April Ryan. That was nothing but God. Because I was at the lowest of low, and Hillary Clinton spoke of who I was. It's not about politics, it's not about policy, it's about humanity. I got a chance to talk to her and thank her for that. Last year, in New York, we were getting an award from Jane Fonda, Gloria Steinem, and all this. But one thing that she taught me, and everything has a story, life lessons you learn from other people's failures and successes. She never fought back. She taught me something. I said, I'm not going to go down that road because what they did to her smeared her. She's now viewed as crooked Hillary. She's now viewed as Crooked Hillary. And I said, you never fought back. I said, because you didn't fight back, you taught me to fight back. She said, you know, if I would have said this, that, and the other, what they would have said about me. But I'm not Hillary Clinton. So I fought back. The next person who has to go up against him is going to have to find the right kind of way that does not alienate a voter to be able to fight back with him. Donald Trump is a ruthless businessman. He wins by any means necessary. He wins. This Kavanaugh win was not about the Supreme Court of Kavanaugh. It was about his win to solidify the Senate. They feel that they're going to lose the House to Democrats. If he indeed loses the House to Democrats, Democrats are going to begin impeachment. They know this. Wait. If the Senate stays Republican, they're not going to remove him. So there's impeachment. So you have to know the politics of politics. So now when you go to the polls, you're looking for a rock star, someone who looks good, someone who's got good policy and can fight back. It's crazy because he won. He got the best of him. He played the dozens. He won. So who is that? It's not going to be someone, thus thou art, wherefore thou, this policy will do this. It's got to be somebody like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Bring it in the name of Jesus. And with that, thank you. It's been so wonderful, St. Mark's. Thank you, Sacramento. This has been awesome. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor Jones.